It had to be said. There was much concern in the West recently over the news that North Korea would be hosting a meeting between its leader, Kim Jong-un, and the leader of Russia, Vladimir Putin. A U.S. intelligence analyst, in a remarkably candid moment, clarified recently what NATO services had learned about this meeting. Yes, indeed, most Western nations assumed that the meeting was about the exchange or sales of arms from North Korea to Russia, or perhaps ways that Russia could help Kim poke holes in the trade embargoes against the DPRK. Well, we were all off base and tagged out. Well, it turned out that the meeting was actually a front for the two of them, Kim and Putin, to get together and trade Pokemons. I know. Apparently, though, they're both avid players, though neither gets out much. And the game requires you to be in close proximity to someone to make a trade, so they set up a multi-day conference where they could get in a whole bunch of swaps. Putin rode his armored train down to North Korea, and Kim rode, bicycle or donkey, whatever passes for transportation in Korea these days, up to meet him. And they nerded out like a couple of teenagers, trading, dueling, catching the Pokemons around the conference site. We haven't heard anything from Russia post-meeting, but we did get some feedback from someone close to Kim, and what we heard was he wasn't all that happy with it. Apparently he was disappointed with Putin's collection and trade offers. Here, let me read you the transcript we got. This is Kim. I was all set to trade him Ho-Oh and Groudon and a shiny Tyranitar. Good stuff. But all he had was Mewtwo's. I already have a couple of those. I mean, who builds a Pokemon collection with just 200 Mewtwo's? No wonder they're losing the war. Maybe I should talk to Xi. I'll bet he has a Sigilyph he can spare. Then the person he was talking with asked about the U.S. America? No. That last guy? Yeah, he came here wanting to be all BFFs, but he didn't even know what a Pokemon was. I said, like Pikachu. And he starts putting his hands over his eyes and taking them away and saying, Pikachu, Pikachu, in this sing-song voice. What an embarrassment. I just don't understand how any country expects to be taken seriously in international diplomacy if their leader can't even field a top-tier Pokemon team. So, if we see the NKRP reaching out to world leaders for meetings, there's probably no need to panic immediately. It's a shame that Angela Merkel is gone. I'll bet she would have taken his lunch money in a match. A Florida man and former politician is widely known for claiming that negative events in the United States, or indeed anywhere in the world, would not have happened if I were in office. Well, now he's taking that claim to what must seem to him to be the next logical step. In a string of social media posts yesterday, he claimed the following. Some people say that the Civil War was a bad thing. Both Mason and Dixon have told me how much they admired me, and they originally wanted to name their line after me, but the politicians wouldn't let them. I was beloved by both sides, East and West, and I guarantee you there wouldn't have been an uncivil war if I were still president then. A lot of people, loyal supporters of mine, lost their beautiful seaside homes when that volcano, Vescovius, blew up in Italy. I had Mikey Pompey over there keeping an eye on it, and there's no doubt that we would have stopped all of that rumbling if we were still in charge of Italy. So sad for the Romanians there that I'm not still in office. Radicals love to talk about climate change, but I didn't see any of them doing anything to prevent that terrible flood that carried away Noah's Ark, a big, beautiful yacht, though not as big as mine, owned, I'm told, by that author Roberts. I hear she's not a fan of mine, but she's very rich, so I still have hope for her. If my election had not been criminally stolen from me, that never would have happened. The yacht and all of the party animals she had on board would still be tied up at the pier at my ocean resort. I hear all the time how nice it would be if the dinosaurs were still alive. Much better than dogs for pets because you could ride them, and dinosaur skin boots are the best. Ask Barney and Fred Skinflint, a gay couple, by the way, who are my biggest supporters. I have many supporters among gay cavemen. It's a shame what happened to them when the asteroid landed on them while they were on vacation or doing other things possibly illegal in Mexico. It would have been nice if they had a big, beautiful wall to hide behind, which we offered to build for them, but then someone cut our funding. I planned to have my space force stop the asteroid, but then I was illegally removed from office, so too bad for the Tyrannosaurus. That last one hit at about 3 a.m., when apparently even he needed sleep. About the only thing he hadn't laid claim to was the Big Bang. Oh, wait, I'm told there's another post coming through. And there it is. When I was in charge, the bangs were much bigger. With the ability to spread their every thought to a wide audience via social media, the infamous Monday morning quarterback has become the bane of professional coaches. One American football team lost its head coach this week after a torrent of brutal takedowns by fans when the team performed poorly for the 5th week in a row. "I'm not taking this anymore," he exclaimed loudly and snapped his clipboard in half as he left the team's facilities for good. Everyone assumed the team would quickly identify a new head coach, who they could then proceed to barbecue, but the head office had something different in mind. According to the team owner, "We've decided to turn the tables on all the negative Nancys out there and put the fans on the hot seat for a change. Instead of hiring a new coach, we're going to let the fans make all the decisions about the team for the rest of the year, since they clearly know better than any football professional." He explained that they would set up several apps for mobile phones. One would be a basic team management app, hiring, firing, who starts, who sits. The other would be a game time app, where the actual play calls would be made by the app users. The game time app? Yeah, it'll be real time. Everyone who's in our ticket database or on our press list will get to play for free. Anyone else can buy in for a reasonable cost per game. It'll be just like Madden. There will be a list of options for offensive plays, defensive sets, trick plays, etc. For 20 seconds after the previous play is blown dead, fans can submit their choices. We have a very fast computer back in the offices that will tally the voting and send the consensus play to the QB or defensive captain via secure net connection right there on the field. One reporter commented that sounded like a disaster in the making. He responded, "Well, hey, if things don't go well, there's nobody to blame but the fans. And you can be absolutely sure we'll be on that all game long and for the whole week after the game. Payback's a bitch." Asked if this wouldn't allow opponents to see what plays are being called or even influence the call, he clarified. Well, we expect thousands of coaches in training to contribute, so it's doubtful that a team's staff would have any real influence and will block users from the opponent's hometown during that game. As for seeing the plays in advance, well, the app doesn't announce the chosen play until the actual snap. And frankly, we think that the choices are going to be so erratic and unpredictable that it's doubtful that any professional would be able to make sense out of patterns. Asked what he expected for the rest of the season, he was frank. Well, we're pretty much written off this year, but who knows, we might be surprised. People are always telling us that they have the solution to our problems, so we'll see. And we're going to keep track of the contributions from each user. So if we see somebody whose choices stand out, they might just get a coaching offer after we've wrung all the fun out of this. He wrapped up with another surprise announcement. Oh, and I should mention that we're changing the team's name for this experiment. So go Trolls. Oh, and check the website for new merch. Back when there were two functioning houses of Congress, one political party had been on a tear looking for evidence, any evidence, of wrongdoing by the current president so they could initiate impeachment proceedings against him. To date, they've struggled to find any plausible reason to do so. Though there is no business being conducted by the House currently, the chair of the Desperate to Impeach Committee has remained hard at work, hoping to come across something that they might use. It looks like his prayers may have finally been answered. A representative from Alabama held a press conference today to announce that he's identified an absolutely legitimate and unequivocal reason to begin those proceedings when the House resumes business. He pointed out that the president had recently traveled to visit striking auto workers in Michigan and walked the picket line with them, the first time a president has ever done that. Attendees at the conference assumed that that must be his foolproof reason, but no. You see, while he was doing that picketing activity, supporting American workers, who of course which activity we do not support, he committed an egregious crime. Allow me set stage. He went on to describe that inspirational music was playing from a loudspeaker near the picket line. As one particular song began to play, the crowd cheered and began to sing along. Said the Alabama rep, "It became immediately clear that the president did not know the words, not one verse, not even the chorus, of Freebird. Now, the band that is famous for that song, of course, is from Alabama. Not from Alabama, but they did write a very moving tribute to our sweet home. So we take this slight very seriously. We consider this a clear and definitive reason to impeach." The questions from reporters came immediately. When asked how many members of Congress he thought knew those words, he hemmed. "Oh, that's neither here nor there." At which point the junior senator from Pennsylvania happened to walk by and began to loudly sing the tune. "That is disgraceful," the rep snarled, shaking his fist. "A northerner singing our beloved anthem while wearing disheveled clothing. My God." One reporter reminded him that his preferred former president was not even able to sing along to the national anthem. He responded sharply, "Yes, and was he not unjustly impeached for it?" As the reporters were trying to work through that logic, he added in a huff, and the final nail in the coffin was that he could not even play air guitar to the solo. My fellow Americans, we cannot have a leader who is that incompetent running our show, our country. We are filing immediate terms for impeachment. Well, immediate when we reopen the House. No further questions. At which point he walked away rapidly. The Pennsylvania senator, however, remained and demonstrated his knowledge of all of the lyrics and his mastery of air guitar. A number of reporters held up lighters and sang along. Hey, thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'm sure it will be another week jam-packed full of source material for another episode of